Hey everybody, welcome to our final episode recap of The Leftovers. There's probably going to be a lot of tears tonight. Really excited about this.
Not ready for this. Not ready for this, baby.
We're not pressing record yet, but I just want to welcome you since you are watching us on Facebook. You may be watching this as a replay. You may be watching it live. No matter what, remember, sharing is caring. Commenting is great. Sending those little emojis if you're on your mobile device, the hearts, the thumbs, the ha-has, all that kind of stuff. Do that. Interact. Feel free to interact in this chat. In addition to listening, this is us. We are still here.
Yeah, Preston Young just said we're still here for the last time.
Oh,
I'm
Preston,
already
still my
heartbroken.
heart.
Already heartbroken about this. Not gonna lie.
And I'm like channeling my inner Wonder Woman.
For some reason, my video here is not.
My video is working.
It's not. Mine is not. It has decided that screw it.
I got you.
Sorry, I can still see the comments. That's what matters most.
Good.
All right, my love, are you ready to begin recording our episode?
Yes.
Our last recap episode.
Oh God. Okay.
Hey, Jordan, Zickafus noticed your Wonder Woman headband.
Yeah.
He's a smart man right there.
I just said it. I just said I'm channeling my inner Wonder Woman.
Oh, I didn't.
He is a smart man, though. I'm not trying
to
put Jordan down. Jordan knows a lot, but I did just say it out loud. Vampire.
We need a Twilight sound.
I too was trying to hold my breath for 30 seconds, James. I too.
Sorry, I'm just checking my sound one last time. Check. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, good. All right. Sorry, guys. I just had to get that finished up. Okay, I'm desperately trying not to show my shirt quite yet. I'm desperately showing because this is a special one.
I was hoping that it was going to be this one.
It's a special one.
Oh my God!
So, all right. Let's do this.
This is episode 48 of the Living Reminders with Mary and Blake.
Did I think about you? Did I want to call you? Did I want to be with you, Kevin? Of course I did. But so much time had passed. It was too late. And I knew that if I told you what happened, that you would never believe me.
I believe you.
That flippin' music.
You do?
Why wouldn't I believe you? You're here.
I'm here.
From Cranston, Rhode Island, welcome to the Living Reminders. It's a podcast dedicated to the leftovers on HBO. We're still here, and so are you. So let's talk about the Book of Nora.
Suddenly I'm hit. It's the darkness of the dawn, and your friends are gone, and your friends won't come. So show me where you fit. So show me where you fit.
So now that we're all having the goosebumps, having the final tears again, not final, let's be real, this is just the beginning of the tears. I want to welcome you to our last episode recap. I am your host, Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
thank God.
Wow.
This would be awkward if you weren't.
I was playing that sound, the monologue from Nora, and the Max Richter is going, and everything is just flowing between the two.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was racing. Like I'm already I'm shaky right now.
Oh my God, you are.
I'm like, if you could see me on Facebook Live here, I'm legitimately shaky because of this. And oh man, what an episode! I am not ready for this show to be over. I am not ready for this to be the last recap that we're going to do for The Leftovers. This will, however, not be our last episode, and we will have an announcement later on for that. But it will be our last recap.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, man, I remember last season saying, I'm tired. I'm emotionally drained.
Well, we went through the ringer last season for sure.
Right. And I feel it, even in only 8 episodes, I feel drained. So as much as I don't want this season to be over, like I said last season, I'm kind of ready for it to be over.
Not me, but
just because I'm so drained, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to, I'm going to sound like I'm complaining here, but it takes a lot to prepare these shows, and it takes a lot to make sure we're entertaining and we're doing lives, and it's amazing. It's fun. But the most tiring part of it is going through that emotional roller coaster and having to process and deal. And like that last week's episode, you guys heard me sob on air. And that's what happened to me. And I'm sure that happened to a lot of people as they were watching the show. And you have a lot of emotional investment in these characters and in this show. And like them, you're going through all the ups and downs. And it's tiring. It's tiring.
Even last night after we watched the episode, we walked upstairs, and normally after we watch The Leftovers, we're chatting a little bit. We try to keep it at bay so that we could really share it on the podcast, but we both just kind of walked upstairs like zombies.
Right. It was one of the only times I remember being speechless after the Garveys at their best. I watched the episode I was like, whoa. And that's how I felt in this episode as well. I was just blown away by it. And you know what? Let's just do this.
Yeah.
What's your Damon rating? What are you giving?
Oh my God, 5.
5, really?
Yeah.
You're not going to 108?
108. 108.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
do
you.
it. I'll totally do it.
Okay, that's my girl.
Sorry, I dropped the ball there. 108 for no doubt.
And for myself, I'm definitely going 108 as well. This was a special episode. In fact, I would probably argue that this belongs in the pantheon of great finales of all time. I mean, we're talking like MASH, we're talking Breaking Bad. We're in that category now, where people are just oh man, I'm just blown away. I'm really blown away by it. It is special. And is it the best of the series? It's certainly at least top 3, top 2 perhaps. Season 1 finale was very good. Season 2 finale was also very good. Garveys at their best. International assassin, the most powerful man in the world,
well,
his identical twin brother.
I feel like because it's only a 3-season show, and the seasons aren't even necessarily that lengthy, that you just need to say it's one of the best, because there are so few, and they're so good. We talked about it last podcast episode. There's no fillers. There's no filler episodes here. So yes, 108. All right. So here's what some of our listeners said for their Damon rating. Abby Godfrey said there are not enough Damons in the world. Still crying. All the feels.
Carrie Dowling says infinite Damons, truly a love letter to all of the fans. In the end, The Leftovers was about love. What we'll do in the name of love, what we will do for love, what we will do to forego love, and finally, the power
The
love.
power of love. Daddy Joe Cassidy said, see all those stars in the Australian night sky. That's how many Damons. Such a perfect
Aw.
ending.
And good friend Megan Downing says,
Yay!
all of the Damons, every single last one. I was satisfied with the wrap of season 2. Actually thought it was a great place for the series to stop altogether. Little did I know how much I would love season 3 and where the story went. I'll miss this show, but feel it was a perfect finale.
Kelly Madsen Latumsky. I'm going to hopefully say that the right way. It's probably not right. I apologize.
I'm on Burgundy.
That's me. I give it all the Damon, says Kelly. Very satisfying ending, which can be interpreted differently by everyone. Did Nora go or didn't she? Is exactly what the viewer believes. So what about Kevin was real or what again? It's all up for the viewer to decide. It was great. Can't wait for the podcast, said
And
Kelly.
Matt Lockley says, I definitely need to hear someone else talk about it so I can get my head together around this episode. Some things I'm not sure I understood, but my jaw was on the floor the entire time. Also good to hear Let the Mystery Be for the last.
Let the mystery be.
So yeah,
Yes.
told you,
Yes.
good friend, Damon Lindelof. I called him up. I said, yo, Damon, let's go. Let's have this as the final theme song. And he succumbed to my wishes.
Oh, it was all you.
It was
Blake.
all me. You should all thank me. Okay. And Matt, you did say you need to hear someone else talk about this episode. And yes, you do need to hear someone else talk about this episode. And I need to hear somebody else talk about this episode, not just me. I listen to other podcasts, the Guilty Remnant podcast, Jay and Jack, all those guys, Bald Move, they do a great job. I have yet to talk about it really with my wife. So I'm here. We're going to talk about it. But most importantly, we are all here to talk about it. The only way I feel like that we're going to get through this episode is to have our own community right now, talk about it. And after this after the podcast is over, talk about it again, send us emails, send us Facebook messages, Twitter messages, whatever, doesn't matter. We're all going to get through it together. Your voice is just as important as ours. That is what's most important, because the leftovers, especially this episode, hits you. It affects you. You can interpret in your own way. Everybody has their own interpretation. For example, like I loved this episode, but I was more impacted by the most powerful man in the world and his identical twin brother. I really was. Because of my own, I've said it before, because of my own depression, how Kevin felt, what his realization, the thing that made him most scared, the thing about which he was most terrified, which is Nora.
Yeah.
And knowing that he wasn't good enough for her, that is what impacted me. But for somebody else, the finale is much more impactful. I get it. So we're going to all do it together.
Let's play Figure Out That Title.
All right, Marvin, what do you got?
Oh, the Book of Nora. So, of course, we've been talking so much about the Book of Kevin, but this was Nora's story today. We finally got to make sense of old Nora / not Nora / Sarah, whoever she was in the beginning of this season. This was her story.
That's right. And it serves as a great bookend to the beginning of this season, the Book of Kevin, and learning about her character specifically. So thus it is specifically about Nora. That's the last Figure Out This Title you're ever going to. We're going to have a bunch of lasts.
They've been really
tonight.
easy. They've been really, really easy.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
It's time to reheat the leftovers.
Okay. Oh, this is the last time we're going to reheat the leftovers. Oh, geez.
Everything is a last time, Blake.
Oh, goodness gracious.
know.
Okay. The story of this episode was by Damon Lindelof and Tom Perrotta. Those gentlemen need no introduction.
Yeah, we love them.
The teleplay, again, we went over this before. There is a difference between written by and story by and teleplay by. We went over this a few episodes ago. The teleplay, which is essentially the actual script itself, was written by Damon Lindelof and Tom Spezialy, who is a writer and producer on this show, has written many episodes. But the story, what you saw, what the overall arc was created by Damon and Tom. Of course, directed by Mimi. Leader, again, needs
Mimi.
no introduction. Mimi is just... how she has not yet gotten a major motion film picture since The Leftovers is befuddling to me. Like, she already has
Because people are fools.
the directed movies. Like, like they know. Like,
Yeah.
she, you know, Deep Impact, all those great movies. But she has not directed a real major motion picture since. And now that we have Wonder Woman that has just been released, and Patty Jenkins has directed that film, and a strong female director, Mimi Leader has more than proven her worth in what she can capture, and she is fully deserving of a major motion film now, certainly. The DP, as always, was John Grillo, and the theme song, Mary.
Oh my gosh, it was the season 2 theme song, just like we called it. Let the mystery be. I just changed the key, but it's totally cool. Are you pulling it up?
I'm pulling it up right
good,
now.
because I did it wrong.
Well, you know, just, you know, save me for a little bit here.
Okay, I'm going to keep treading water.
And
that's what I'm really good at. I'm actually very good at treading water, to be honest, while you pull up that song.
Yes, you
so,
are.
yeah, I was pumped that they did this. I think that it was a beautiful way to pay tribute to season 1 and season 2, which brought us to where we are. Are you ready?
Here it is.
Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from.
I'll never forget
Everybody
how
is
shocked we
wondering
all were when, you know, season 1 had the doom, gloom, epic music. And then season 2 started with the brand new visual opening,
Right.
which was beautiful and captivating, but accompanied by this. We were all like, what? What is going on, Leftovers? Because, of course, they left the book, too. Like, this was, you know, a brand new story, a brand new season.
Right.
So, and we learned to love it.
I did. When I first heard the song,
Some say that they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots.
like that line, carrots. I was like, what are we doing? But when I heard it yesterday, it was like an old friend.
Yes.
It was like,
Yes.
okay, the world is right again.
Mhm.
I'm ready for it. So
Catching up with an old friend, I think that's a perfect segue, because in this episode, we were able to catch up with some friends
yes,
a little
we were.
bit
Yes, we were.
through the grapevine, kind of. So we got closure for some characters that,
Well, all the main characters. At
yeah,
least.
yeah, that we were nervous about. So first and foremost, holy smokes, Lori's not dead.
How do you feel about
What?
this? How do you feel?
Jill's phone call saved Lori's life, in my opinion.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
That phone call
Oh.
it was the main factor, I
Yeah.
think, in making her keep her life.
I'm really glad she's not dead, because I think that that's what really hit me, was like, you're still killing yourself after your kids. You just spoke to your kids, like that. They are still there, and so are you. So
Right.
stay here, please. So I'm really glad that not only is she there, but we saw her holding a baby, which we can assume is Jill's baby.
Correct.
Showing that not only is she still alive, but she's actively involved in her kids' lives. Excuse me, I'm like getting emotional. And so that was really great to see Lori. How did you feel about it?
This was the one thing I feel like that bothered me about the finale.
Oh.
And it could have prevented it from being a 108, but I was okay with it. I was okay with it because I was happy for Lori that she did not choose to end her life. She chose to stay alive. She chose life. She
Yes.
chose her kids. She chose
She chose
John.
love.
She chose love. That is special.
We don't know if she chose John, but
Well,
oh yeah,
she's
they still
married
live
to him.
next door. You're right. They're still
live-
yeah.
they're
Never mind.
together. I had reservations about it because Certified was a beautiful episode, and yes, it did end. Apparently not, but apparently it could have ended with her suicide, and it made sense if she did commit suicide, like it to the character and what she was going through. I accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was okay with it. I moved on. But then to see her alive in the finale, I don't want to say it undercut what happened in Certified, because I don't think it undercut it, but I kind of had to rejigger my emotions.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit, because I accepted the fact that she had committed suicide.
Oh.
And that's on me. Like, that's because I think a lot of people accepted that fact. And we all went forward with it, and we were okay with it. We said, okay, we understand. And then here she is alive, and I was kind of like, okay, all right, she's alive, great, that's awesome. But
Lori's done this before. I mean, we saw it in her episode where she attempted suicide and changed her mind and got that epicac. And, we've seen so many characters try to get themselves killed.
Right.
And yet not. Whether you're like Kevin and you just can't die, Nora gets shot. I mean, people are just always pushing the boundaries in the world that they live in. So
I think that's a valid point. What you're saying, she has tried to commit suicide before, couldn't, and that would be true to her character.
Yes.
That would be true to who she is.
Yes.
That is a very valid thing. And let me say, I'm very happy that she did not. Like I'm not saying that I wanted her to do it. I'm very happy that she's alive. I'm very happy that she's there for Jill. She's got Penelope, the little granddaughter. I am ecstatic about that. But just that moment of being like, whoa. I remember when Nora was talking to her, you're like, oh my God, that's Lori.
Yeah. I recognized her voice.
You recognized her voice like that immediately. Yes. And I didn't. I was like, who the hell is she talking to? What? At first I thought she was talking to Grace.
Oh. That girl, that lying lady.
I know, right? Which we did not get confirmation about, by the way.
I don't even care.
I know.
Liar.
Just a freak. Straight up freak looking for shoes. I was happy that she's alive, and I'm happy that they gave her an ending. They gave her closure as a character.
Because otherwise I would have felt so weak about her. I mean, everything she'd gone through was so tough. But she left her family for a cult, She had such a huge emotional upheaval after the departure that she left the loves. She left her family that she already had that was still there. They didn't depart. And it really, I really struggled with her attempting, her suicide, what we thought was suicide, because I was like, girlfriend, you've got a great life. It's still here, Yeah. What are you doing? You've already come back from the GR. You've already come back from your attempted suicide. Like, why are you doing this again? So I am so happy that Lori's here. We hear, Sally, that Matt passed away.
Well, hold on one sec. Oh. Angela Hickey here on Facebook says they cheated. They did a bait and switch. And I'm not sure the writers did a bait and switch with Lori. I don't think that they did. Because they didn't tell you. Again, I remember saying this last year. The show never lies. The show never lies to you specifically in saying, we're going to show you this, and then we're going to do something completely different. Like, it has never done that. It left it up for interpretation. They didn't tell you that she committed suicide, but they didn't tell you that she did not commit suicide. They just said, here's what it is.
Okay.
And if you choose to believe what you choose to believe, that's on you.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a fair thing to do, because that's what they did with this finale, by the way.
Well, and at first I thought that she was dead and that Nora was dead, that she died in the bubble thing, and that the baby on Lori's lap was her baby. I just was like thinking quickly. I'm like, oh my gosh, is everyone now dead? And then Kevin later said he met a bride in a hotel. So I kind of forgot about it. I was like, oh, she's, maybe they're not all dead. But there was part of me in this episode that really debated maybe everyone is dead. Maybe all these people are dead and they're just in another world together.
That's a big conversation.
Sorry, but I don't think so because of Jill and Tommy.
Well, I think the very specific thing that they're not all dead is because Lori is holding the baby.
Yeah.
Like, that baby wouldn't exist in Kevin's mind necessarily. Although, I mean, he did live in Jarden, so it's possible. But
and he did know that she had a baby, or that she was pregnant. I don't know. I had like this weird blending where I was like, maybe the departed and the dead are all together in this weird world, but I don't believe that anymore.
No.
It was Jill and Tommy and the baby that put me into, no, this is real life. Lori did not commit suicide. And maybe she changed her mind underwater. I
think that's possible. Well, you know what? We're gonna go crazy here. This isn't about certified. This is about this is about the Book of Nora.
Yes. So Matt dies sadly.
But he reconciles with Mary, his wife.
Yes, which means he got to have some more of a relationship with Noah, which is huge. Mary, of course, like says this huge eulogy.
Right.
Mary, who didn't die after leaving Miracle. or didn't go back into being pretty much like a comatose person who didn't speak.
Right. So that shows how much everything Matt believed in was kind of full of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was such a beautiful moment in the opening when Matt, well, not the opening, but when Matt is speaking to Nora and he was saying, I'm scared. And Nora's like, well, I'm not. What are you talking about? It's fine. I'm okay with it. And he's like, no, I'm not scared for you. I'm scared for me.
Yeah.
I'm scared that
my kid's going to grow up and never know me.
And then I'm also scared I'm going to survive.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have to stand up in front of a bunch of people to try to tell them that I have the answers and I have no effing idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who has lost his faith, someone who recognizes, I don't know what's going to happen. And you have to accept that. Like, oh my God, it is stunning, that admission from Matt. And having that ground the episode went into kind of a little bit of a crazy territory towards the end. Like it got big, even though it was still small. Like it was contained. It was a contained episode sitting at a kitchen table and having a conversation. But there were big things happening.
Okay.
And I felt like that admission from Matt is what helped ground this episode. I mean, Chuck, think about it. Nora getting into a bubble and having water come up and seeing
metal
fossils and going into the future, and then having Kevin show it, like big things are happening here.
Yeah.
But that small emotional moment was spectacular.
Matt Libs. Everyone needs some Matt Libs. That scene. Like I have chosen to share that photo because yes, this was about Nora and Kevin and this love. But I think so much about this episode, and we'll delve into a little deeper, is love and is those relationships. And I think that this was the most beautiful time that we ever got to see of the love between these two siblings. And you know, it's my brother and I are very different people, and we were talking about a personal story, and which I haven't shared yet. So here's my personal story. But it's just about how, I mean, probably a lot of you could feel this way. You probably really, really, really different than a sibling. If you have a sibling or if you have a couple of siblings, you may not see eye to eye. You may think that they're crazy. All right. You may feel lots of dislike feelings towards them. And we got to see that with Nora and Matt, and yet they'd still get together. But I just love that they were able to share this conversation between themselves about their childhood and bring back something as simple as Matt Libs. And for her to remind him about the bravest girl that I know. Oh. And you know, your siblings are your longest friends. Like there is no other friend in your life. Your parents are going to pass away before, hopefully, your siblings do. And they will literally be the people who know you the longest in the world. And it just kind of, I spent a little time with my brother actually on Sunday, right before I came here. My brother and I are really opposite people, like really, really opposite people. I mean, we're in New York City in Times Square, the craziest place ever. And, you know, I took him to this diner where people sing because I was like, this will be so much fun. He's like, this is not my scene. This is so weird. But, we shared like memories from our childhood. And then I got to see this episode with these two people who are leaving. One who is leaving to the departed land, one who is leaving because he's dying of cancer and they're never going to see each other again. And yet it was such a beautiful moment that I feel like only siblings can really get, you know, when the times get hard, that's a love that is so unique and that can keep you together.
Like when he says, if I were a good gecko, I would be trying to talk you out of this. He says, no, you're a good one because you're not. And that's the acceptance that brothers and sisters and siblings have of each other when you have a healthy relationship sometimes. Because there are some people that don't have healthy relationships.
Yeah.
But
people are saying the video is stuttering.
Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about that. It is what it is.
We're checking, guys. We're checking Facebook Live.
Yeah, it's just the connection. We're going to have to...
Gonna what?
The broadcast was interrupted.
They're saying it's better now.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Excellent.
I'm going to wait a second. Let me know if it's working.
We're definitely going to have to edit this out.
better.
Oh yeah, we're good. Okay.
Way better. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for putting up with that. We're
All
in
right.
the machine, says Missy.
Yes, we are in the machine. At any rate, sometimes when you have a non-healthy relationship, that doesn't happen, and there are those out there who don't have healthy relationships with their family.
I like you cough and you look at me.
No, I'm coughing because I'm coughing for me. At any rate, I really appreciated this scene because it was our goodbye and it was Nora's goodbye that grounded the episode for us as a viewer, and we get to see a truly honest moment between the two. And when the doctors ask Nora, "Are you ready?" and Matt says, "Of course she is. She's the bravest girl in the world." Oh my God, I wanted to break down and sob, because I thought that was it. Well, but now that we're here, tell me what you thought about the whole process with the bubble and Nora.
So I caught something right away. Okay, so because whenever people go underwater and they're like swimming or if they have to hold their breath, I play the game, let's see if I can do it too. Okay, so they're telling Nora, can you hold your breath for 30 seconds? And I'm like, I can hold my breath for 30 seconds. I'm going to see if this is a real 30 seconds or if they're going to like extend it. Cause that's what movies do a lot. They extend it a lot. So, the water's coming up and I'm like getting ready to take a deep breath and I'm getting ready. And I took a deep breath before her. And then she tilted her head up and I was like, okay, now I'm going to need to take another deep breath. So I exhaled and I took an inhale when I thought she should. And then she goes, "Sss."
And then it cuts.
And I was like, you don't exhale with a if you're going to hold your breath. So that happened. And I think it was after the whole episode. I didn't even say anything then because we were so shocked.
Mhm.
Like it was such a shocking moment. But in my mind, I was like, she started to yell. You don't do that when you take a deep breath. And I said to Blake right at the end, I said, she started to yell, stop. And he's
Right.
like, what are you talking about? And I said, she started to yell, stop. I know. I was taking a deep breath with her. I was about to see if I could hold my breath in the bubble. And so we rewound. And sure enough, so if you guys haven't yet checked it out, go back to that scene. What a really alien scene that is, going into that truck and all those different machines. And you could feel the cold and the shock that she had.
Especially since he's walking in there nude. Like, whoa, that was a very raw and intense moment for Nora. And as she is walking nude, full frontal, Carrie Coon, I'm sure the set was closed, and I'm sure that there weren't a lot of people in the room except for probably Mimi Leader and the cameraman.
Yeah.
Maybe the DP. That's a very brave thing to do, and it shows the vulnerability that she has, especially as she's walking down and they're cutting to the scene of her kids right before they depart, and the cell phone ringing and the paper towel incident and the juice spilling, and oh my goodness gracious, that to me also, because all right, so let's just get into it now. There is a debate going on whether or not Nora's story that she told Kevin is true. Either she is telling the truth that she did go back, she did get zapped, and she decided that once she saw her kids in the other world and they had moved on with their lives and her husband had met somebody else, she was very pretty, she said it twice, then she was a ghost. She realized she didn't belong there because her family had moved on. And then she came back.
Mm-hmm.
Or Nora told a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And she told a lie because that's what best suits her. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So do you feel, now that you've exposed your theory about this, do you feel that Nora lied? And do you feel that she told the truth? Or, here's a third option. Does it even matter?
It doesn't matter.
Why do you think it doesn't matter?
They added that so that we know it doesn't matter. Because think about it. Had they not done that, had they not had the S
Mhm.
for people like me who were holding their breath with Nora to find and to now talk about, we would have all thought this was true. We
Mhm.
wouldn't have doubted Nora's story because Nora is always searching for the truth. She fights in this episode for the truth. She's mad at the nun because she doesn't tell the truth when she just had, relationships with Motorcycle Man.
She was bumping uglies.
Yeah. She's mad that Kevin isn't telling the truth. Nora's always hungry for the truth. She wants to know the truth. What happened to Dirty Santa, Man on the Pillar? She wants to know the truth about all of this stuff. And we would have 100% believed Nora. And it reminded me so much of Inception when Leonardo DiCaprio's character spins that top. We've talked about this before on the show. For those of you who haven't watched Inception, I'm sorry. But the whole thing
Spoiler
is that
alert.
was it real or was it not real? And at the very end, he spins the top and he leaves because he doesn't even care if it's not real.
The story ends at that point.
And I feel like that's how we need to feel about Nora. That if it was, I had a great conversation quickly after the show with my friend Jeffrey, who's in the chat right now, and he said, "Oh man, wouldn't it have been great if we would have had season 4 because then we could have seen Nora in this other dimension, in this other land, in the land of the departed. Wouldn't that have been wild?" And I was like, "Yeah, except I think she said stop." I don't think it even happened. So for a little while, I was like, wow, wouldn't that have been great? And you pictured it when she was describing it. You were picturing these empty streets. You were picturing a world with probably, 5 pilots. You're picturing all of this stuff, but it doesn't matter. Kevin believes her. Kevin doesn't share everything with her.
Right.
Okay.
But eventually he does.
I didn't hear him say I hung out with Patty and I had to cut open my heart with my twin.
No, because
in
at
a
that
land
point
of
that doesn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, because he says I believe you, it's back to when they got together and they said we're okay.
Right.
That's what it is. It went back to the beginning of their relationship in this messed up world where like each had their own baggage. They met in totally random, weird situations, but they had each other, and that's what made them okay. And I feel like it came back to that. So I don't know. I don't know if she started to say stop and it was too late and it got filled and this all really happened. I mean, that was a really close stop. The water would have taken a long time to slow down at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she did go. I don't think necessarily she did. I think she made up a great story. I think that she had 15 years or whatever to think about it, 10 years.
It's her way of saying this. It doesn't matter if I'm with my kids or not. It doesn't matter. I'm looking. I can't have that connection that I'm looking for. It's her way of just coping with the idea that she couldn't go through with the machine. She couldn't do it because ultimately she realized my kids are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that.
And my husband was a cheater before.
Right.
So I don't want to go back to him.
And it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, because ultimately, like you said, Kevin says he believes her.
Yep.
And because he believes Nora accepts that. He gives himself over entirely to Nora. He doesn't need proof. He doesn't need her to validate his belief.
And that's the thing about love is you believe someone.
Mm-hmm.
When they're there and you either believe them or you just know no good is going to come out of my fighting this. I need to just be in their land and their story and be by their side through this.
Mm-hmm.
When people like Blake and I have been very open. We both have suffered from depression at different times and, have thought crazy thoughts and have been in the dark trenches. But when you have someone there with you who may not be suffering or who may be, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The stories don't matter. You still have that constant by your side
mm-hmm.
and that's what this was about, was finding those constants.
But here's the beautiful part of it. Here's the beautiful thing. And this is why this episode works so effectively. Because you can choose to believe Nora. You can choose. It's like those games. Oh my God, what are they? The pick your ending games.
Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. You can choose to believe Nora. And
Yep.
if you did, great.
Yes.
Please do so. I'm so happy that you choose to believe her because you are a person of
I can't wait to see fan art of that, like The Departed.
right. And that's what's
Yes.
awesome because it are there holes to poke in what she said? Sure. Like why would well, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth
No.
it. Are there holes to poke into it? Yes, there are. And you can figure it out, and I'm not going to go through it here. But if you want to believe her, that's great because it makes sense to her.
Yes.
There's in any story, whether or not it's true or not, there's always an element of truth. Somehow, some way, humans, they can't help it. There's an element of truth in some stories that people tell. In the most minute details, there's an element of truth. And I feel like if Nora was on the other side and she did have that discovery and she did choose to come back, she did choose life, she chose to be back because she was a ghost over there, that's good for her. For me, I think that she told that story because that's her way of coping. It when you hear the story, to me, it's a little absurd. I mean, knowing that she went over there, she was naked, she was clothed, she bought clothes, and she had to travel over the oceans and find the guy to
Build the
make the
machine
machine.
again.
And
Okay.
she found the doctor, and he built it because one woman said, "I need to build the machine." And why wouldn't they? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
But you can believe it. In this world of the leftovers, you can believe it. I mean, think about it. Until I said to you, she might have said stop, you believed it. You believed that she went in that machine.
Yes.
Until you believed Nora's story. Until afterwards, when I was like, I tried to hold my breath.
Right.
You believed the story, and I believed the story, even though that was in the back of my head. The stop. And even though I knew she was about to say stop, I still thought maybe they still went through with it. Maybe it was way too late. The water was literally up to her ears. Maybe she still went back. And how beautiful and tragic of her thinking in this land of unlucky people, her family was the lucky one. So many times in darkness, I've said it to Blake when we've had our down times, we are so lucky, and we need to remind ourselves that even on our darkest days, even when times have been really tough, even when everything seems like black, we are very, 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 very lucky.
Right.
And maybe there was a part of Nora that realized that even about herself, even though she couldn't say it to Kevin, maybe she could think a little bit while she was saying stop, and she realized this world, I am lucky.
Here's a question for you. Are you happy they didn't show at all Nora's journey into the nether world, or what the departed world? Like let's just say, for the sake of argument, that she did tell the truth, that she did go.
Yeah.
Are you happy they didn't cut to scenes of her walking on empty streets or on a boat or whatever?
No, I'm happy because it is a mystery.
Mhm.
We are always going to wonder, did she or didn't she? And I love that. I love that we have to let the mystery be. We are not going to find out, did it happen? Did it not happen? Does that other dimension really exist or not? You can make it in your own mind. But I would have felt weird. Just like I would have felt weird if they didn't have her start to say stop. And as I said, just because she started to say doesn't mean it didn't happen. It did or didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the water was way too high up. I think she still would have been covered by whatever this middle water was. But yeah, I think it was beautiful that they made it so you can't be sure either way.
I liked it because we were presented with the same information that Kevin was. The way that Mimi Leader shot it was perfect, because she is doing the close-ups, but she never let go of the fact that two people were having this conversation. So we are within Kevin's point of view for a lot of this as it's being filmed. And being in Kevin's point of view, we are now being given the information that he is, and we, like we have to take her information at like as face value, because we are not being shown her expedition into the departed world. We have to, like Kevin, make a choice.
Yep.
And the great part about it is, here's a woman who is terrified of Kevin, who is scared of him. I mean, taking up all of her belongings and trying to pack up before he shows up, and calling Lori, and she is
I
terrified
think he's a
of him.
Taurus. Do we know when Kevin's birthday is? Because that is such a Taurus move. I'm going to find you. I love you, and I'm going to find you.
She's packing up all of her stuff because she's terrified of him. Yet, when it comes down to it, when he finally is truthful to her, when he says, I refused to believe that you were dead. I have 2 weeks vacation every year, and I took those 2 weeks every single year and came here to Australia to find you. And I took that picture and I showed it to everybody I could find. And finally, I saw the nun. I saw it in her eyes. I knew where you were. I knew that you were here.
Mm-hmm.
When he finally gives that truth, she says, do you want to have tea?
Yep.
And at that moment, they are finally able to connect, because that, yes, it's like I said earlier, it's a big thing. It's a big story. We're talking about Nora lying, going to the other departed place. We're talking about Kevin, who is, willfully trying to erase the beginning part of their relationship, so that he could just restart. There's big things happening. But the most important part is being able to sit at a kitchen table, holding their hand, that final connection, that one journey of being able to hold that person's hand, being able to be together, to be a part of each other's life, to give themselves over. That is the important journey.
I mean, Nora's journey mattered so little. I read in an article today that Mimi and Carrie Coon, the actress who plays Nora, neither of them asked Damon and Tom, does Carrie go? I mean, does Nora go or does Nora not go? They literally got the script that we saw, and they portrayed it in the way that they thought was their truth.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Like they didn't know. So you know how J.K. Rowling told Alan Rickman in the very beginning of filming, hey, I've got a super little secret. Just so you know, spoiler alert, guys, Snape was in love with Lily, Harry's mom.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So even though you're going to seem like a jerk forever, actually you're going to be like this epic hero because you're just like this sad man who like loved this dead woman, and it's kind of your fault that she's dead. Don't tell anybody, okay? Cool. Okay? So he acted in all of these films until we got to know in the books that this was the truth. He knew. That's not what happened in this episode.
The opposite happened.
Exactly. Like Damon, Mimi, Tom, Carrie Coon did not have a conversation. Does Nora go through? And I think that is so beautiful.
Actually, I have some more thoughts from Damon, specifically on Nora's story, and I want to read them. Damon says, if we showed it, you would know that it was true. Showed it, meaning Nora's journey. By not showing it, you have to believe that it is true, if that makes any sense. In me speaking here. In other words, you don't know, but you have to have faith that it is.
Because Kevin has faith.
Kevin has faith. And this is another great part of his arc. Kevin goes from being, policeman, science, this is all bullshit, don't give me any of this supernatural crap, to all of a sudden saying to Nora, I believe you. I believe you because I do. I choose to believe you. Amazing stuff. Anyway, Damon continues saying, I think that's what's important is Kevin saying that he believes her, and she seems surprised by that. She says, you do? And he says, why wouldn't I? You're here. That's kind of everything we have to say about how relevant the truth is.
Yep.
Because if a belief system works for you, if it brings you together with the people that you love, it's actually veracity is secondary to what the belief system basically gets you. That's not like self-help guru promise bullshit. That's the way that I think things work. I think that this finale in this season and this series is packed with people who are telling stories. Part of the territory, the very rich territory that we wanted to explore was, are any of these stories true? Or do these stories have an added veracity because they're told in a world where this crazy supernatural event happened? Or are they all bullshit? We want the audience to be thinking and feeling and wrestling with all of these questions. What our intention was in writing that scene is 100% clear. I would never be like, well, that's up to you to decide. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. No. The writers had a very clear intention. And I will bring with me to my dying day exactly what our intention was and whether or not Nora's story is true by the metric of, did it actually happen? That said, Carrie Coon and I never talked about it. She just read the script and then played it. Mimi Leader and I never talked about it, or that it was either true or not true. She just read the script and directed it. And so the more interesting question is, when the same scene is basically interpreted by multiple artists, what is the truth? Even then, I think it's sort of a fascinating Rorschach test in a sense that if you're an agnostic or an atheist and you didn't want an answer to where all the departed people went, you're probably not going to believe Nora's story. Even if you had been multiple times that you weren't going to get told, multiple times that you weren't going to get the answer, but when Nora gave it to you and you felt relief, you're probably going to want to believe her story. Again, all that matters to us is that Kevin really does believe it. There's no ambiguity about that. And his belief in her story is going to allow them to be together because now they're finally both present, probably for the first time.
Well, yeah. And think about it. Like, why wouldn't Kevin believe it? Remember what just happened to Kevin?
Right.
Like, that was crazy.
Right.
So, of course, he can believe it. It's hard for us. It's hard for us because we don't live in necessarily that crazy of a world where we meet a fake twin and we nuke the planet. He just had all that stuff happen several years ago. So, of course, he's going to believe Nora's story. Of course he is.
Right.
I love that.
And another part that makes me feel like it's just a story. And again, if you want to believe her, that's great. That's your faith that you have to have. For me, another tally mark is when Nora does confront the Bumpin' Uglies nun. She is talking to her about the pigeons, and they only have 50-mile radius. It's
they have one job.
It's one job. They come back to me. It's stupid for all these people to think of this. And the nun says, yeah, but it's just a nicer story. And Nora's reaction to that was like, whoa, like what? And then she took off. That to me is a tally mark for her telling a story because it is a nicer story. It is a nicer thing for her to go over there and
see them living a happy life and being the lucky ones.
And whether or not she made it up in her own head, or whether or not she experienced it, or whether or not she truly believes that she did experience something like that but didn't actually do it, maybe it's just in her subconscious, that is what works for her. And because Kevin can just believe her, like I remember having a conversation in Outlander, our other podcast, Outlander Cast, when, spoiler alert, Claire says to Jamie, I'm from the future. Sorry, I'm from the future. And hey, guess what? There are airplanes and people ride elephants and blah, blah, blah. Like, he just says, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I believe you.
Yep.
That kind of commitment, that level of connection is rare. It's rare. And it's special. And that's why I think it works so well in The Leftovers. Because they had wrapped up all, like I said last episode, all the kind of craziness of The Leftovers was wrapped up
when the world exploded.
Right. And then we are now left with trying to find out what happens to Kevin, what happens to Nora, because ultimately this is what the show is about. It's about these two. And we've had every other episode of this season, and every episode has been a finale unto itself. Like every person had their finale. Everybody, you figure out what happened to John, what happened to Erica. You figure out what happened to Matt. Matt lost his faith. Lori found out she couldn't help everybody, and you were allowed to have that. So when I think about this season, I don't think of this finale, the Book of Nora, being the finale of the series. I think of the whole season being one giant finale.
Yeah.
Because everybody had their moment to finish out their character arc. And that is what is important for Nora and for Kevin, because now her arc and his arc are completed, and they're not separate anymore. They're together. That's why it's so special, right?
Yeah.
And I get why people can be and are upset with the finale. There are people that are out there saying, well, what happened to Kevin, and what did he die? Blah 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 blah. Like,
I got confused. I got confused about Kevin, because when Kevin first came and he was like, "Hey, we met a long time ago," and he had, he completely left out a huge chunk of their life. I started to get worried that there were twin Kevins, and that maybe one of them had disappeared early on in the show, and that's the one that got killed. And of course, because he said, "Oh, I have the scar to prove it." So I was like, "Oh man, it's twin Kevin. Maybe he didn't live this whole relationship with Nora. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe President Kevin lived that whole life with Nora." But then I had to remind myself that was still all the same Kevin, and that my mind was really getting in a knot. It still is, even saying this.
Well, part of me felt like Kevin, like, okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest here. I'm a Lindelof fanboy. You guys all know that, okay? But because I'm a Lindelof fanboy, and because I loved the Lost finale so much,
We have to go back, Kate.
and everybody poked holes into that finale, even though I still feel like it's a perfect finale for that show. I wanted to be the guy that was like, I'm going to poke holes in this.
You wanted to poke holes in this episode?
I wanted to so desperately.
Oh, okay.
I really wanted to, because I wanted to analyze it. I really wanted to be fair. I wanted to be fair for the audience who is watching live and for the audience who listens to the podcast. I didn't want to be a fanboy. I really wanted to look at it and say, either this was great or it sucked. And I was like, I'm looking at Kevin. I'm like, okay, how he comes up to Nora's door and he's saying, oh, we had this conversation back at this Christmas party, and and I'm like, okay, so this can't be true because of that and this and that, and then I realized I just have to let this wash over me.
Okay.
I have to let it wash over me, because if I didn't let it wash over me and I tried to figure it out, I wasn't gonna get it. I wasn't gonna appreciate it. And I really wanted to poke holes, but I don't think I can. I really can't. I mean, do you want to poke holes into, did Kevin die all those times? And did he, I mean, I have a whole bunch of questions here from, here we go. Does Kevin survive? How does he survive all those things? Maybe he's supernatural. Maybe there's rational explanations. Like his, remember how he said he was cold when he got dunked into the ocean, into the pond. Maybe his heart slowed down, and that's what was able to keep him alive. And did Kevin stop the flood? Did he really stop the flood that was going to ruin the earth because of what happened in the most powerful man in the world? Was Evie in purgatory, or is it just Kevin's brain? Like,
we don't know.
We don't necessarily know. But there are answers out there for those of you who want to engage that material. And that's why I say I get why some people can be upset and are upset about this episode, because it doesn't spoon feed you everything. And I remember being pissed off at a bunch of people after the Lost finale, because I'm like, how do you not get this? It's all the answers are right there. No, they were not dead the entire time in Lost. They even say it. Everything that happened was real. They were not dead. Spoiler alert, if you watch Lost, they were not dead the entire effing time. I promise. And I get pissed off because it's like people are like on planet Zippy sometimes.
Oh, I like that planet.
And like I hate the ignorance with the fiery passion of 1,000 burning suns.
Be kind.
However, this episode allowed people to take the answers that they wanted to take. And if you did not get the answers that
Mhm.
you did not want, you have to recognize that maybe figuring out the International Assassin Hotel world isn't 100% pertinent to the mechanics of this show. What's important about those episodes, what's important about Kevin being able to go to that land, whether or not he did or did not die, what's important is the character journey.
Yep.
And that's why I say the most powerful man in the world is the end cap to all the craziness. Because now we have to have a final moment for the characters. Where did all these people end up? Can they move beyond the end of the world? What happens when the world doesn't end? Are they capable of doing that?
Mhm.
And you're only going to get catharsis in this show and what this show is really about if you allow the emotional catharsis for the characters. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, we started off with season 1 trying to figure out what happened in the departure, even though we were told we would never learn. We all kind of were like, what happened? And got to see these families and their relationships torn apart and things were in chaos. But then in season 2, and even at the end of season 1, they started to lay down the groundwork about relationships and
Mhm.
about family. And people have come out and said so much that about this show that it relates to them, especially in regards to grief, when they're grieving, when they've lost someone, and when they're going through hardships, and how it's those relationships that keep you grounded. So, you know, if we have to say the hotel was what the hotel was,
Mhm.
like, and it made Kevin the man that he was, where he still realized that he loves Nora and that he's here on this planet, and that is a very, very good thing that he needs to fight for. I mean, that's the book that he was writing in the Most Powerful Man in the World. Like,
Mhm.
it was about, hey, you have something really good. You have this relationship that's worth fighting for, and the world is an effed up place, as is our world. I mean, music, books, literature, everything that is grand and beautiful in the art world can most of the time be related to love, because that's really what it's all about. That's what makes us different than all these other animals. You know, penguins
Right.
mate for life, right? And like a couple other like birds mate for life. But like they don't have what we have. At least we don't think they do.
I never thought we would talk about penguins in this episode.
They find each other. They like leave for so long to go eat, and then they find each other. They all look the same. I don't know how they do it. But this is what makes humanity special. You know, we are a really messed up species. We hurt each other on purpose. We lie, we cheat, we steal. We ruin the planet unlike any other creature does, and yet we can love.
Mhm.
And love, not just Kevin Nora love, but sibling love, mother love that Lori changed her mind to be with her kids, and now she gets to be this grandmother and have that kind of love. I think that that's what this episode told us. It doesn't matter about the supernatural. It doesn't matter about these big questions, and it may piss you off. It may piss you off to be like, well, what happens?
Mhm.
What was the hotel? What was Patty? What were all these things? But what it's supposed to tell us is that life can be crazy. We can all be crazy. But if you find the person who's cool with you in your craziness, hold on tight.
And I think if you were watching this show to find out about the mechanics of the hotel world, and if you were watching the show to find out what happened to the departed, even though they kind of gave you an answer in this finale, they kind of did. Whether you choose to believe it or not, it's up to you. But if you're watching it for that specific reason, you've kind of set yourself up to fail a little bit.
You didn't know.
Well, you did know, in my opinion. And you
How?
want to know why you knew? Because each season ended with Nora speaking and Kevin speaking to each other in some form or fashion about family and, again, emotional catharsis for those specific characters. End of season 1 is Nora saying, "Look what I found."
Mhm.
And it's about a baby, and Kevin
That was
coming
kind
home.
of creepy. That was a creepy noise.
Look what
I found. It's a baby.
I agree. It was creepy Nora.
Yeah.
TV's best girlfriend, by the way.
Eh.
No, she's redeemed herself. She's TV's best girlfriend now.
I would say that Kevin's TV's best boyfriend.
Right. And
Coming to Australia year after year.
that
Best
would
boyfriend.
maybe the TV's best couple, even more so than Jamie and Claire. Yes, I'm starting that train. I'm choo-choo, baby. Get me on that train.
No.
Kevin and Nora, team
No.
Kevin and Nora. I'm
No.
going there. Anyway, season 2 ended with Nora saying to Kevin, "You're home."
Oh, yes.
And Kevin walks in. He sees his whole family. They're all there. And this season now ends with Nora saying, "I'm here." And it has, again, the show has never lied. The show has never told you this is so important. I mean, it's shown you a couple of things. We do have Dean talking about dogs, and we do have
Which turned out not to be a big deal at all, and I'm so upset. I was waiting the whole time. I was like, are there dogs in Australia?
and we do have Athek talking about Holy Wayne and Russia in season 1. Like, there are those things that were there.
That's the noise.
But that's noise. That really is noise. That's just stuff. And those all of those closing moments throughout the show explain to you and show you very clearly that this show is about characters, and this show is about family and finding connection between those people. Whether how hard it is, the journey that it takes from one point to the next. Now, I have some sound here from the season 1 finale, and it's from Nora in her final monologue to Kevin.
Okay.
And I want to play it, and I want to play it because it shows her, like we've talked about for the past number of episodes, characters getting their arcs completed, and where they have come from to where they are now. Again, we talked about Matt losing faith and just accepting the fact that the God isn't necessarily, he wasn't doing necessarily everything for God. Lori found out that she couldn't help everybody. Kevin Sr. finds out that he is not necessarily special.
Doesn't need to learn the songs.
Nora, like Kevin, was a coward, and she was afraid, and this is why. There we go. If it would play. I'm not sure why it's taking forever. Come on. Hello.
I'm still waiting.
There we go.
I'm still
Dear
here.
Kevin, I need to say goodbye to someone I care about. Someone who's still here. So I'm saying it to you.
I'm going to pause this for 1 second. Think of this as Nora has not gone through with her story, or maybe even she has gone through with her story, that it's real. And this is when she comes back.
With what story?
The story of going over to the departed world. Like, this is where Nora is coming from after that point.
You were good to me, Kevin. And sometimes when we were together, I remembered who I used to be before everything changed. But I was pretending as if I hadn't lost everything. I want to believe it can all go back to the way it was. I want to believe that I'm not surrounded by the abandoned ruin of a dead civilization. I want to believe it's still possible to get close to someone. But it's easier not to. It's easier because I'm a coward. And I couldn't take the pain. Not again. I know that's not fair, Kevin. You've lost so much, too, and you're strong. You're still here. But I can't be. Not anymore. I tried to get better, Kevin. I didn't want to feel this way, so I took a shortcut. But it led me right back home.
Get this. Okay, this is the part that, like, oh.
And do you know what I found when I got there? I found them, Kevin, right where I left them. Right where they left me. It took me 3 years to accept the truth, but now I know there's no going back. No fixing it. I'm beyond repair. Maybe we're all beyond repair. I can't go on the way I'm living, but I don't have the power to die. But I have to move towards something. Anything. I'm not sure where I'm going, just away. Away from all this. I think about a place where nobody will know what happened to me. But then I worry I'll forget them. I don't ever want to forget them. I can't. They were my family. I think I loved you, Kevin. Maybe you loved me too. I wish I could say this to you instead of writing it. I wish I could see you one last time to thank you and wish you well and tell you how much you mean to me. But I can't. Like I said, I'm a coward. So, wish me luck. I think I'm going to need it.
Okay, so I know that was from season 1, and I get it. That was the finale of season 1, 100%. But that is a perfect example of character for Nora. All of those things that she just said, even though it was season 1,
Yeah,
are applicable in season 3.
correct.
And where she comes from, she can try to hide it. She can lie to herself. And the irony about the beginning of this episode is that she's saying, I don't lie. But she lies to herself 100% of the time.
Yep.
She constantly lies to herself because she's trying to cover it up. There's always going to be bulletproof vests. There's always going to be hugs. There's always going to be Wu-Tang tattoos. I can always cover it up. But when she finally has this moment with Kevin where they're both up front with each other at the end, at the kitchen table, holding hands, they both finally have connections. They are no longer cowards. They are no longer separate from each other. They are just now able to move forward together. And again, that's why I say, think of what you just heard and apply that to Nora.
It's complete mirror.
Right.
Yeah.
Apply that to her as she's in the machine, or she's coming out of the machine, or if she's in the other world and she's looking back at Kevin. That's all applicable.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, it's wrapping back around and showing her complete arc. And that's why it's so special. Like, oh my goodness gracious.
Can we talk about the goat?
Yes, we can talk about the goat. I effing loved this scene.
For those of you who forgot, there was a goat sacrificed in Jordan, every day or once a week?
You know,
Jordan, not Jordan.
Okay.
Miracle. Jordan, Texas, aka Miracle. Like, I would bring that goat in the diner, I want to say.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he'd like lay down the plastic. So I loved how they were like, she thought it was going to be a sacrifice, and it obviously wasn't, but they made that joke. I also loved that during that scene, Kevin said that he met the bride at a hotel, which then I was like, is everyone dead? I'm back in that planet. Is everyone dead? Is this the hotel? Is this the dead hotel? What's going on?
Right.
Okay. So the goat takes the beads from everybody that are your mistakes or sins.
Now, this is from the wedding scene, which, by the way, might be my most favorite scene of this entire show.
Was it the hipster lights that did it for you?
Yes, the hipster lights totally did it for me. It was gorgeous. It reminded me of Big Fish a little bit. You remember that? in that movie Big Fish when they're at the big dance in the town, and you remember that
Yeah.
Big Fish?
Of
Okay,
course.
all right,
Yeah,
all right.
it's one
I'm
of my faves.
all right. Anyway, I loved that scene because it was so gorgeous, and the emotion, and Kevin, upholding his lie still, and they're dancing, and you got Otis Redding, I've Got Dreams, still playing, and they're, oh my God, sweat, tears, just tears,
I was
tears
about to say
upon
sweat,
tears.
but yes.
Anyway, so they're at their wedding, and the groom makes this distinction.
Mhm.
There are
Mistakes.
fuck ups,
Yeah.
and there are mistakes, and there are sins.
Yes.
And a mistake is just a fuck up.
Gotta be careful where we're on
I'm
Facebook
quoting.
Live.
I can't get in
know.
trouble for quotes.
I don't know.
And the sin is doing something wrong, even though you know it is wrong. So part of the tradition over there is to take beads, and those are indications of your mistakes and sins. And they put it on the goat as a scapegoat.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the goat, then they release the goat into
Here
the
you go,
wild,
goat. Good
so-
luck living.
so that they can all start over fresh. And as Nora leaves the wedding, leaves Kevin behind, saying, "I can't do this. This isn't true." Maybe it is a mistake for Kevin, and he unburdens himself with those beads, and he unburdens his own mistakes. He unburdens his own sins in front of Nora. And notice how Nora did not do that either.
She didn't even have beads.
She didn't have beads. She refused to accept them. But it makes sense when ultimately you find out as she's driving her bike and just
Flies.
eats it.
Yes.
Eats it. She falls off and she sees the goat. It's tangled up. I mean, can you get any more on the nose
Love it.
with this goat and the imagery here?
Mhm.
Nora has to save the goat, and she's climbing up this muddy
And
hill.
falling and rolling down.
It's Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill, right?
Yes.
And when she finally gets to the goat, she takes the beads off of the goat and then wraps it around herself.
She just toss them, which would have been much easier.
Mm-hmm.
But she puts them on herself. Why?
And because it's poetic. And now, is this a literal thing for Nora at that moment? No, of course not. But it's poetic for the viewer because Nora is taking all of those sins, taking all of those mistakes, and burdening herself with them. And before she can move on, she has to unburden herself. She has to unburden her life. And she struggles to get there. She is clawing up that hill, and she's falling, and she is failing at what she needs to do. It's a beautiful moment.
It is.
It's just stunning.
Yeah.
It's stunning. And the one thing the one underplayed thing I think that is happening is when she takes the beads off at her house
And puts it
and
on.
puts it on. Oh my goodness. Puts it on the paper towel holder, which is full, which mimics and mirrors what happened at the end of season 1.
For those who don't remember,
She takes the paper towels to dry up the orange juice that was spilled by her departed kids
when she was pissed and
on
she
her
was like,
cell phone.
yeah.
I told you 2 hands and da-da-da. And it was empty. And again, it's mirroring here. We're getting to the arc. The paper towel thing is now full. She's putting her sins, her kids, her guilt, her mistakes, everything. The fact that she didn't appreciate her children at that very moment, it's now on this full paper towel holder.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my goodness gracious. And I think that is an underplayed moment in the episode because that is so specific and it is so special to Nora the character.
Why do you think it was underplayed?
I think a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah, but
And it's quick. It's a quick thing. Like if you don't.
So was the stops. So was the stop sound.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that
So-
isn't. I'm just saying it's a quick thing that I don't think people are really paying attention to, and I want to bring it up because it's important.
Yeah, because you need to rewatch this episode a couple of times. You
Oh,
know,
definitely.
It's going to be interesting for everyone to reflect when you watch it the first time. If you believe Nora, if you picked up on the goat and the beads and the roll and the stop or don't stop.
Mhm.
But each time you watch it, you're probably going to have a different feeling and different theory. So I love it.
And the other one that I really love too is at the end after they're holding hands and they both come to the realization that they both finally have each other. We have the birds flying back with the notes of love, and it's a biblical reference. And when the doves or the pigeons or whatever come back, it's like the end of all the bad times is coming. We're finally moving on to good things here, and they're carrying notes of love and carrying Kevin's note of love to Nora. Unlike everything, all the problems with her family, with her kids and the birds, the love, it all comes back.
What an interesting profession for her to choose after losing her loves.
Right.
After losing the man that loved her even after this catastrophe. She chose, like, it's not like this is the profession she grew up in. She had an apprenticeship and she had to be the dove wrangler with the love notes. She chose this profession. Maybe it was the only one available, but if Nora really hated it, she could have left. Honey Badger does what Honey Badger wants. Okay? And yet her job was to catch messengers of love from far away, from people who she didn't know, from people from somewhere else. And I just thought that was so great for someone who had no love for so many years, who pushed herself away from it. That was the profession that she had.
And the fact that she's so damaged, she's so like vulnerable. We talked about vulnerability at the beginning of this episode, but she is a damaged person at this point, and she does take that job. It does show that one slight little belief that maybe there is love on this planet. And when the birds come back, it is a visual indication that love has certainly returned. Also, the goat at that point is now free because remember, Nora tied it up, and the goat has now left. Did they show the goat walking away?
Probably ate its rope. So that thing was eating everything, and that's what goats do.
And the scapegoat, the thing that has burdened, that has taken the burden of all the sins and the mistakes, is now gone. Everything is now starting over. It is starting fresh.
But Kevin does not get renamed Abraham.
No, he does not. I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we get into listener feedback?
No.
Okay. And by the way, guys, if you do have questions for us, if you feel like all right, I'll do this. For those of you who are watching Facebook Live, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast after the Facebook Live, if you have questions, I didn't have this opportunity during the Lost finale, so I challenge anybody, that if you have questions, if you don't think that they gave answers, if you don't think that they didn't properly wrap up all of the characters and most, if not all of the mysteries that they had introduced, I want you to either ask me now or send me a Facebook message or Twitter me. I don't care.
Maybe we'll have an extra episode.
Ooh,
all about the questions.
That's a good idea.
Because we only had a babysitter for so long, so that's what I'm feeling.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's what we'll do. All right. And yeah, so let's get to the listener feedback. All right, Elizabeth Marie on Facebook says, I let myself believe that Kevin was having another psychotic episode when he tells Nora that they only met in the gym that night long time ago. I started to believe that maybe nothing else really happened after the sudden departure, like it was all in his head. The writing, 5 Damons, the acting, all of the Damons. I will miss this show so much, but I respect the decision to end it there.
Charlie Campbell gave it 5 Damons. The scene between Nora and Matt broke my heart. as it was their final goodbye. But the Mat Libs were hilarious. The machine scene left me feeling claustrophobic. The misdirection with Kevin's lies made me think he'd lost his mind after all. The dance between Kevin and Nora was so emotional. Their faces said it all. Nora saving the goat and taking on all of the sins herself felt redeeming for her character's mistakes. Kevin returning to Nora proved to us that the key he pulled out of his own heart gave him the strength to persist and to find her. Nora's story could either go either way, but I choose to believe that she went to the other side and returned. I hope she got some closure there. The birds returning home symbolized the change in Kevin, how he finally returned home to be with Nora. Kevin and Nora equal heart emoji.
Mike Douglas says, I started getting choked up hearing Let the Mystery Be. My wife grabbed my hand and said, I bet Blake is getting choked up too. Wow, that is amazing. The fact that you're getting choked up with that, you're thinking of me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can't believe it's over and how perfect the ending was. This is the best show I've ever seen. 5 full Damons. And we got an email from Justice Seymour. He said, whether Nora was telling the truth or what she experienced is real, it doesn't really matter. I think she believes what she is saying. Just like how the hotel or the other world Kevin goes to when he dies could all be in his head. And that is a distinct possibility. He believes it. Or if a giant Godzilla monster with 7 heads lives under a volcano, or if a great flood is coming. The show is about belief and what a person needs to believe to function in a world that makes no sense and has no answers. Nora believed in nothing, but wanted something to grasp onto. It doesn't matter if she went through. She just wanted to believe her family was okay. So she left it at that. Anyway, thanks for reading my email. I hope to find another show you guys are covering so that my ears can be graced by the Larsons once again. And Jacob, do your dishes. He just wanted me to put that in there and to freak out Jacob, his brother, as he's listening to this. But yes, Justice, thank you so much for your email. It makes complete sense. And I also want to mention that you can still hear the mighty Larsons in their podcasts over at maryandblake.co. We do have another podcast about a show called Outlander. If you love our analysis of television shows, we do watch Outlander. We do have a very popular podcast about Outlander. It's called Outlander Cast. And we may, depending on how things go, do some other little boutique shows. For each specific season. Maybe Halt and Catch Fire, the final season. You never know. I'm just throwing that out there, depending on how things go.
Alice Lynn White said, I went to the Leftovers for Your Consideration event last night at Paramount Studios and wanted to let you know firsthand how terrible some of these Television Academy voters are.
Oh.
There was a line to get into the event, and the people behind me would not shut up about how terribly planned the event was, and they were beside themselves that there wasn't an Academy members only line for check-in. All they kept saying was, they've lost my vote. This is outrageous, poorly planned. If they wanted my vote, they should have planned this event earlier. A lot of older, very entitled Hollywood folks who don't even watch or appreciate the show. It was infuriating. I tried to tell them this is not the show's fault, but the people just screamed back, yes, it is. It is absolutely the show's fault. I've been to other FYC events, and this is the worst. This is why The Leftovers hasn't gotten any award love, because ignorant people who only want to attend fancy free events don't get pampered enough. Besides those wretched people, it was a wonderful event. Catered dinner, open bar, and seeing the finale on the big screen with the cast and creators of the show, followed by a Q&A with Jimmy Kimmel. The only way it would have been better is if my wife was with me during the screening.
So you want to know something else that I can't stand with the fiery, burning passion of 1,000 hot suns?
Tell me.
People like that. Like, they're not voting on the show based on its own merits. They're voting because of a line.
At a party.
What the F, bro? Like, you freaking Planet Zippy. That is 1,000 hot suns.
They are Planet Zippies.
Ben Amato says on Twitter, 5 Damons in a world of 2% or 98%, love conquers loss.
Yep.
Our hearts extend beyond each world that makes us whole if we're brave enough to let it. Mandy R. Taylor says, Blake, I'm glad you were wrong about how much Nora we would get in this episode, though this is exactly what I'd hoped for. And you are right, my friend. I was way wrong with my prediction last week. After Kevin's realization last week, there was no story of Kevin without Nora anymore. There was no way he wasn't going to find her in whatever place. Rachel Smick says 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42
Yay!
Damons. And that, my girl,
We have to go back, Kate.
that has a special place in my heart because that's a good lost reference.
Sarah, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sarah Doss gave it 5 Damons. The world is a mystery, and we can travel all over seeking answers, or we can just let it be and love the heck out of what we have. Joel Johnson gave it 4.5 Damons. I think emotionally, this was a 5 Damon episode finale, ambiguous on purpose so that the ending could mean different things to different people. Was Nora telling the truth, or was she lying? Were they all dead, thus proving Lori committed suicide? All questions that could be answered differently depending upon how one interprets it. Like how I said that, interprets.
I'm on Burgundy.
One day I'm going to learn how to speak. Greg Cuoco gave it 108 plus Damons.
Sorry.
I don't know how many more times you're going to push that button today.
Oh, my God.
For really ending it with a show-stopping conversation between Nora and Kevin, showing us that love prevails above all uncertainty, bringing things together with the news about all the characters and letting us off with a good story that says things tie up. Greg was a bit puzzled by the choice to have Kevin act as if he did not know about his relationship with Nora, and that didn't seem like that would actually happen. But aside that, it was an amazing end to the best show of all time.
At the Gearson says, at the beginning of this episode, Nora tells the scientist she doesn't lie, so that's what made me believe her story. And from Erin B, she says, throughout this series, Nora has been so fixated on the truth, but never quite is ready to explore and or accept her own truth. It is right after this encounter with the nun that we see Nora come upon a beautiful scene with the goat. She struggles and falls up the hill, as most people do, when finally accepting their grief and moving on and unburdened by the goat, finally letting go of that grief and showing true selflessness for the first time. I do not believe that Nora followed through with the machine or went to another realm, but I believed that, in the words of the nun, it's a nicer story. I think that this is what she needed to believe in order to heal, that in her case, she was actually the 2% and her family was the 98%. And wherever they are, she believes that they are together and happy now. And now it is time for her to be here, her to be with Kevin, and finally can make it work and continue to grow and heal together. It's been a crazy ride. Paul Crittenden says 5 Damons at least. It was like Lindelof, Kuhn, and company came up with a way to bring specificity to ambiguity. And if Carrie Coon doesn't win an Emmy, then I'm getting in the naked bubble and leaving this universe. At the P. Whitty says, do Damons actually even apply? Are there Damons for this? Can we Damon's eyes this finale? Vicki Johnson says 5+ Damons. A huge thanks to you, Mary and Blake, for initially bringing this show to my attention. A totally fitting ending to an incredible 3-season run. It was very satisfying when taken at face value, yet nebulous enough for those who don't really want all the answers spelled out. 2 people still with plenty of problems who get the chance for a do-over. Reminded me just a little bit of Forever Young because of the possibilities of Kevin and Nora being able to share their later years together after so much time apart. Just beautifully done. All the lovebirds found their way back to each other. And I'm glad Lori didn't drown, at least if you believe Nora's story, which I choose to. Even the scapegoat made a final appearance. The Mad Libs were a characteristic humorous touch, and the return of Let the Mystery Be was especially appropriate to finish things off. And despite and often because of their foibles, I dearly love these characters. I consider it a true gift to be able to say goodbye and release them by way of such an excellent episode. So many themes were explored through 3 seasons, highlighting the best and worst of humankind and everything in between. From the rapture-like disappearance, similar to what is mentioned in Matthew, all the way to the finale. We are left with an affirmation that we should seek to roll with the punches and make the most of the ups and downs in our lives and relationships as we make our way through this world, trying to help each other. Live and let live. The leftovers is now forever a part of me. I'm still here. And that's what all this means to this viewer.
Alex Mokaby
Sure.
on Twitter said, so I'm kind of conflicted on the decision to keep Lori alive. Maybe I'm just being morbid, but I feel like it kind of cheapens Certified.
Ooh, good argument.
Mike Cardenas says, going the full 108, the show has been a unique emotional roller coaster ride, likes that we may never see again. Thank you, Mary and Blake, for 3 years of excellence reheating those leftovers.
From Stephanie, she says, I want to ask you guys a couple of questions now that Leftovers has completed its run. Would you be considering doing a rewatch podcast? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Because I have to like separate myself from this. That's too emotionally heavy for me right now. So it might be fun to go back in the beginning now, and now that we know where the show is going and how it ends. And also a few podcasts ago, you guys encouraged us to send Damon a thank you, and I would really like to do that. What is the best way to do so? He's not really on social media that I'm aware of.
Instagram.
Is there a fan mail address that you know of? Yes, actually.
Damon's on Instagram.
Stephanie, he is on Instagram. And this is now the time I'm going to announce this. We, Mary and I, will be interviewing Damon Lindelof one final time next week. So possibly the final episode of the Living Reminders will be an interview with Damon Lindelof. And if you guys do have questions for him, or you do want to pass a note to him, please comment.
Yep.
Send us an email, whatever, and we will literally say anything you got. Well, not literally anything, but most things.
But try to find questions that he hasn't already asked he already hasn't answered a million times. Like he's out there now. He's explaining his thoughts and feelings about this season finale. So if after reading that you're still like, nope, he didn't answer this, send it to us.
And we will get it to him. But if you do want to contact him directly, go on Instagram. He is there. Melissa Schmidt-Ducott says, if I had 20 doves, they'd all be carrying 5 Damons. Ryan Reisman says, second straight 108 Damons. I was in for whatever after last week's episode. Short of showing a Braves game for an hour, I was going to love this episode no matter what, but they really stuck this landing. The show has dealt with loss and grief and depression so thoughtfully and so well that it is only fitting that they end on a note of love returning to those who have been worked without it for so long. Mark Triplett says 5 Damons for creating and maintaining characters who we care about to the end despite their flaws, and maybe just maybe because of their flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you go, there you are. And the answers provided by the series, as in life, are those we find on our own in order to live. And Kaylee Marchie says, all of the feels, 5 Damons doesn't feel like enough. I don't know the last time I felt so much. It was surprising. It was captivating. It was mysterious. It was everything. I felt like a love letter to the show. And that feels so fitting. And my love, Spunky Misunderstood Genius.
Yes.
We have some voicemails. You ready?
Bring it on.
Hello, Mary and Blake. This is Daphne. I just watched the finale of The Leftovers. I am giving it 108, 5 Damons. It was so beautiful. I am so grateful that they ended it the way they did, and I'm so happy that there will be a podcast where you guys will discuss the final episode. But I am so happy and I feel complete, and I'm so glad that I was part of this experience. So I hope you guys had a restful day, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Facebook Live tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Yes, Daphne, it was a lot. And I'm glad that you were able to get that through to all of us.
Hey, Mary and Blake, this is Jordan from Fresno.
Hey, Jordan.
And hey to all my other lefties out there. Okay, I just finished the episode, and I am a blubbering wreck. So, to make it short, concise, and quick, I guess, just wanted to say how unbelievable the acting, the writing, the cinematography, everything was just phenomenal. This is exactly the finale that I wanted. Number 2, Lori did not kill herself, and I could not be happier. My heart smiled very big when I saw her. And that scene between her and Nora talking on the phone was beautiful. Another highlight for me was obviously the scene at the very end with Kevin and Nora sitting at the table. good God, just very touching television. So another big thing that I really appreciated from this episode was the goat scene when Nora fell off her bike because of the beads, and that led her to the goat, and just the symbolism of her taking the beads off of the goat and putting them on herself and kind of going back to her house was just beautiful. I did not want this episode to end. There was a minute there when Kevin came in to Nora's house and was like, "Oh, I don't remember anything," you know. I was like, no, this is not an alternate universe. If this is like, if they're doing this Lost thing right now, I'm going to be so pissed off because I can't do that twice. Lost was amazing. Don't give it to me twice. And they did not. So I was really happy about that. Again, I couldn't have asked for more. And I'm really sad, but really pleased. And I can't wait to hear the conversation that we're all going to have after this episode. So look forward to hearing from everybody. Love you guys. Bye.
Wow.
Yes.
This episode, yeah. Thank you.
Hi, guys. This is Allison. I'm still processing everything from last night. I don't know if I slept very much because of all the feelings it left me with. I wrote a long comment on your Facebook page, but I thought I'd call it in and read it so that if you decided to share it, you don't have to read it.
Oh, thank you.
So, of course, I gave this 5 huge Damons. It was the mystery that drew me into this show and the questions that kept me hooked from week to week, but it's the emotion that will linger long after my mind stops questioning. The Esquire interview with Damon confirmed a lot of what I was ruminating after watching, and I'm still processing. And by the way, everybody should read that interview. It was fantastic. The one thing I didn't love last night was the confirmation that Laurie was indeed alive and had returned to her children. Because I loved where Certified had left her character floating in the ambiguous baptismal-like water in which so many of our characters have journeyed into and out of this world. Mm-hmm. But the more I sit with her story, the more I believe it fits the message that this story was trying to tell the whole time. We are not all gone, as Laurie said in Certified. We are still here, and we need to find a way to love and to be vulnerable and to connect, despite the fact that we now know it can all disappear at any moment. I know Damon said in his interview that everything we saw last night was, quote, real. That said, this show never definitively confirmed what is real throughout the 28-plus hours. Nora's journey could have all been in her mind, just as Kevin's could have been. And after last week's 307, I have been feeling more and more that the assassin world was all in Kevin's mind. Mm-hmm. I started questioning then, if the journey was all in Nora's mind, what happened to the machine? So what if the machine never really brought anybody anywhere? What if it is just water that it fills up with? What if it's an elaborate mechanism to bring people to their truest realizations? And the beauty of this show is that none of that matters. Mm-hmm. Kevin explained his otherworldly experiences with his heart condition, which is way more explanation than I thought we'd ever get. Mm-hmm. In a sense, his body was dead all of those times. His heart stopped beating. But that doesn't mean he actually went where he went. Who's to say that it wasn't all his mind in an altered state of consciousness? And the fact that we will never know is what makes it so beautiful. The ending credits started rolling at exactly 10:14.
Whoa. That is mind-blowing. I did not know that. Holy crap.
Damon must have done a mic drop.
All right, final voicemail.
Hey, fellow lefties, it's Missy Ortiz.
Hey, Missy.
And I am at a loss for words. Our favorite show is now over. And I don't deal very well with grief. So it's more upsetting to me than it is sad. I am sad, but I'm upset because this show is everything to me, as I know it was for Mary and Blake, for all our fellow lefties out there, all the fans. It meant everything to us, and we devoted our time and our lives to it every Sunday. As all these 3 years that went by, we made so many new friends. So many people gathered together, and this show unified a large group of people, and I believe that was the most beautiful thing ever. I just, there's a few thoughts from the finale I want to talk about. I guess the beginning was very intense. I want to start with that. It had me on the edge of my seat. I was literally on the edge of my seat when she was in the machine. I felt like they were going full on sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And I was excited. It was exciting to know she was going to go through. And then, of course, they go on and talk about they have some closure for Kevin and Nora, and they discuss their love story, and it was just, they closed it off beautifully. And when we got to see Lori with her grandchild, I believe Jill's daughter, they named her Penelope, like from Lost. So that was a great nod we got from Damon for
We have
Lost.
to go back, Kate.
I love you, Penny, Desmond. So that was beautiful. And so I don't know. There's so many things I want to say, so many things I want to share, but that was I was very, very sad that Matt died. We all knew that it was coming, and that was probably the only tear that I did shed when Kevin talked about Matt's funeral. That was really sad because we never want any of our characters to die off in the show. So there's so many things from the finale that were beautiful. The lighting at the wedding was epic. It was a beautiful setting. The production designer did an amazing job. The cinematography, everything. All the actors, the cast and the crew, we thank you for just giving us this amazing gift. And thank you for letting us take this awesome ride on this incredible journey that you've given to us. We will miss you dearly, and we will always adore you. So thank you for everything, and thank you, Mary and Blake. We'll miss you very much, and I know that you'll always come together on October 14th and on our very own anniversary, and perhaps do a reunion podcast or something like that. But I love you guys, and we'll miss the leftovers. We're still here.
Yes, we are. That was amazing. Thank you, Missy. And, maybe we'll do a reunion podcast on 1014. You never know. Who knows? The world is our oyster. We'll put it that way.
Yes.
So now this is usually when we do the sudden theory of the week. But I don't really have a sudden theory of the week. And I don't think it'd be appropriate to have a sudden theory of the week.
Good. You to let the mystery be.
I'm going to let the mystery be.
Let the mystery be.
So, final thoughts, my darling. Do you have any final thoughts for this episode, or this season, or this show?
So I don't like sad shows. I don't like difficult shows that have unlikable characters, and this show had a lot of difficulty to it, and I loved these characters, and it was very, very sad for me for a lot of the time. I have not yet dealt with crazy grief, and I'm really nervous about how I'm going to handle it. And I feel like this show kind of showed me a lot of the different avenues that are going to be my options one day, because life is short, and one day I will have to deal with a lot of hardship. I just know it. I'm lucky right now. I say it all the time. I'm very lucky right now. So I like that I was able to see this show, because if I do go down one of the deep ends, I know that my constant, my husband Blake, can say, honey, I love you, but you're getting a little GR. Okay. You need to rein it in. Or, you're acting a little honey badger right now. So it was perfectly beautiful and sad. And I'm happy the way that it ended.
And think of the journey that you have now taken as a result of this show itself. Like, you have gone from being a Gilmore Girls girl, which is unto itself
and
great.
Harry Potter.
And we, by the way, we have a Gilmore Girls podcast. It's called You've Been Gilmored. Go to maryandblake.co. Shameless plug. To now watching The Leftovers and really loving and appreciating a grief-ridden story.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. and that's a good thing. For my final thought, I wanted to come up with something that was poetic and beautiful and
Look at you, fancy.
and whatever. However, I'm not smart enough to do that, and it eluded me because I don't have the words to give to the leftovers that would do it justice. I'm not capable of that. Someone like Damon Lindelof is, and that's what he created, and that's why, and Tom Perrotta, and that's why we got that beautiful scene at the table. However, when I was reading and I was doing some research for the episode today, and I came across this, and I do want to read this as my final thought because I think it encompasses everything that I love about The Leftovers. And it was written by Carissa Pavlica, whatever, at TV Fanatic. It was an article on TV Fanatic, and she writes the following: blind faith in God or a God doesn't cure you of your ills. Matt Jameson discovers that. Having faith in medicine could, but it only takes you as far as the scientific community has progressed. Lori discovers that. When something horrific happens, we can wallow and we can wish for what once was, or we can move forward and have faith in the people that we know, the ones we meet along the way. We can have faith that even if things don't happen for a reason, we can still find reasons to live and to love. The worst things that happened during The Leftovers happened because people couldn't let go. People couldn't move on. They were stuck in the past, searching for meaning where there might not have been any. Kevin had to kill off part of himself that was running away from the woman he loved. And Nora had to find a physicist in another universe to build a time machine to get back to her world. And it still wasn't enough to get her to connect with the man that she loved. Mm-hmm. The longest journey that we can all go on is having the faith and the guts to be connected to each other. And that, to me, is what The Leftovers is.
Yep.
So, that is that. That is the end.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel like crap, just like Rafe said last week. That's the end. That is the end of our episode. So,
Allison Siegel said, "Where is this article?"
It was on TV Fanatic. So if you go there, it's the Book of Nora review. And I'm not ready to let go.
Well, we're going to come back and do probably another little episode for
yes.
those of you who have questions. We're already
yes.
saying it. I'm saying it.
So, my darling, are you ready to close out the final recap of The Leftovers?
No. If I say no, does that mean Tom and Damon go back to writing? Do I have the power? No, I'm not.
Oh boy.
I'm not ready.
Okay. No, neither am I. I don't want to hit the button.
You can hit it, but we're just putting our foot down and letting them know. I'm not ready.
All right, let's close it out.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and like I said last week, don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened.
You know, I kind of love that it happened this time of year. This time of year always reminds me of graduating from high school, graduating from college,
yes.
And you always have. There's that moment. You're looking so forward to. You're like, I hate school. I can't wait to leave this, and then it hits you, and you're like, wait a second. I know these halls. I know these people. I may not like all of them, but I know these people, and I've grown here.
Mm-hmm.
I've grown here, and I kind of don't want it to stop because it's pushed me. And this show has done that. It's like that little moment. I know it's the end. I know it had to end, and it was a beautiful ending. It really was. I don't know if I would have wanted to see the other world. I'm happy right now. I'm settled.
I'm happy that we didn't see it. To be
But-
honest, I'm happy that we didn't see it.
But I'm sad.
I'm very sad.
I'm sad it's over. I'm very, very sad it's over. And I'm so happy at how we've all grown and how we've grown as a community. And I can't wait for more people to hear about this show because I talk about it so much that more people have started to watch it. And they're like, can I start it now? And I was like, well, it's the finale this week. But yes, you can start it now. So keep telling people because this show is going to just get bigger.
Right.
That's it.
Well, as a reminder, we are interviewing Damon Lindelof, which may or may not be the final episode of the Living Reminders with Mary and Blake. But if you do have questions for him, if you do have something that you'd like to say to him that you want us to pass on to him, please let us know as soon as possible. We are interviewing him on the 14th of June, so get it to us before then.
What's the best way for them to send it to us?
You can send it to us at livingreminders@gmail.com, or you can do it Facebook.
Message us.
Facebook,
That's the easiest
whatever.
way.
I just want to say thank you for listening to us, being on this journey together, and letting us be a part of your leftovers world and your experience. So that's it.
We're still here.
All right, Facebook world, that is the end.
Facebook world. What the heck? It's over. It's over.
It's over. What the F? What the F, bro?
I'm in denial.
I know. I don't want it to be over. This sucks. This really sucks.
I'm bleeding. I started bleeding.
You're
about
bleeding?
5 minutes ago.
What are you bleeding for?
I don't know.
What the hell did you do?
I don't know. I had to keep my cool.
Did you get bit by a dog?
Is anyone else a little bummed that nothing came of the dogs?
No.
Damn it.
No, I think that was your own crazy little thing.
So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for anybody who was watching this on replay, either on Facebook or on YouTube. As I just said, and for the podcast listeners, thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey. And thank you for letting us be in your ear every week that we did a show.
Yeah.
It's a great honor to us that you allowed it. And I know I can speak for Mary, but I will let her say something too. But it's a big deal to us. And as much as I think we provide value for you when it comes to the show, the value that you provide for us it's incalculable. And I can never repay you for what you have given me and helping me in my journey throughout this show, but also through all the things that I've gone through. Thank you. So, and thank you to my darling wife, most importantly.
I'm still here.
We're still here.
Thank you guys.